Hey guys, it's Steve the Canadian Photo Guy here. I've been asked a lot of questions lately about how this image was created of this magical mushroom. So I thought I would just create a little video and walk through the steps that I went through to actually create this finished image. So as you can see, we have a bunch of different images. What I did is I focus stacked from the front of the mushroom all the way to the very back part of the mushroom. I knew that I wanted to have a dark bluish colored image with a glowing mushroom. So let's start with going into our develop module here, and we'll start off by just cooling this image off and something like that, and I'll also darken it somewhat because we wanted a darker image to work with. Something like that probably looks pretty good. I'm also going to create a little gradient over the mushroom here, and I'm working with the latest version of Adobe Lightroom, so it might look a little different if you haven't updated your version yet. We're just going to create a nice large gradient, oval gradient here around the mushroom, and I'm going to invert that gradient so just the outer edge is what's affected, and we'll darken that down just a little more just to give it a bit more of a mysterious look. I'm going to synchronize that and make sure that up here we'll have masking selected as well, so that that oval mask goes onto all the images, and synchronize that. And there we go, we have all our images synchronized, and we can now begin the stacking process on this. You'll notice that the image jumps, or the mushroom moves around within each image. That's because I was balancing the camera with one hand on the lichen and a rock while I was trying to adjust the focus, and while I was also trying to hold a flashlight over top of the mushroom to light the mushroom. So my hands were kind of full. I didn't get it perfectly steady on this image, but that's okay. We're going to be using a piece of software. If we right click, and we'll export to Helicon Focus. It's really a fantastic piece of software. So we'll let this finish stacking, and we'll jump into Helicon here. And we see our images here. We can go through. We have all the individual images right here. What we're going to do is we're going to select method B, which is the depth map, and we'll set the radius to 25 on this one, right about there, and smoothing at 3, and we will render this. And you'll see the software go through and just kind of find the sharp pieces in the image, stacks them all together, and there we have our stacked image. We now have detail front to back on the mushroom, and I could have gone a lot further by focusing on the foreground here as well as the background. However, that's not what I wanted to achieve in this image. I wanted only the mushroom to stand out, and so that's where I focused on, no pun intended, focused on the focus stacking portion of things is right in that area. I'm just going to save this and call this stacked mushroom, and we'll save that. Now that's going to save it, and it's going to export back into Lightroom when it's finished saving, and we'll go back to Lightroom when that's done. Alright, so we have our stacked image here, and I'm just going to hit the number 5 just to put 5 stars on it, so I know that's the image that we're working with. And you can see it's stacked nice and sharp. We've done some little fuzz on the mushroom. It's crazy the detail that comes out when you start looking at this. Now the next image is this one. We want to work with this a bit more. In this case, I don't really care about what's happening on the rest of the image here. My only focus is this small area right here, the gills on the mushroom. So what we're going to do, we're just going to brighten that up a bit. I'll turn our blacks down. I'm also going to turn the clarity up because I really want that to stand out down there. Maybe take the brightness down just a touch. Something like that looks pretty good. And again, this is all, you do it by eye. There's no specific science to exactly what has to be done. Just do what looks good. You might recognize my flashlight that I'm using to light the mushroom. This is actually just my cell phone. I left the flashlight because I wasn't expecting to find a mushroom like this on the hike. I left the flashlight back in the vehicle, but thankfully I had my cell phone along, and it worked. If I pretty much laid the cell phone right on the mushroom, I could get enough light to capture this image. So what we're going to do is we're going to select that image, hit Control, and select the stacked image, and we're going to take that and we're going to edit in Photoshop. So from here, we now need to, because you notice the movement between the different images, we're going to have to stack these together and align them. I'm going to take this image with the light, and I'm going to hold down the Shift button and just drag it on top of the other image. That just aligns it right on top of it. However, you'll notice it's still not aligned. You notice how it moves from one image to the other. Now we have to unlock the bottom image, so double click on that and hit OK. That removes the little lock that was on that layer. We'll select both of those. We'll go up to Edit and Auto Align Layers, and basically just leave it as is and hit OK. And there we go. We now have the two images aligned. You notice how that is now perfectly aligned. You will see that there is space up around the top of this image. That's okay. We can crop that out later on. But our focus again is going to be just getting the light on that portion of the image. We'll take and add a mask to this. Now I'm assuming most of you are familiar with masks and layers and all this kind of stuff. If you do have questions, let me know. Perhaps we'll do another little video touching just on those features within Photoshop and Lightroom for masking. But as of now, we'll create a mask and we'll invert that so it goes black, which basically turns off that layer so we see the mushroom down below. And what we want is we just want to put our light down on the bottom of the mushroom. So we notice we have a black and white. We want to paint with white, so I hit X. We'll flip that around and B, or select our brush tool, and we're just going to paint that onto here like so. And I'm at 50% opacity, so I'll have to do a couple of passes on this just to give it a really nice solid fill here. And there we go. We got a nice rich color on that. Now, of course, I painted outside the lines. I'm not a very good colorer, I guess. We'll hit X again, which will reverse. So we're now painting with black. And I'll just kind of paint that back in to kind of fill those areas in. And then I'll go to a larger size and just kind of paint those edges in, because we don't want to have a harsh, sharp edge on this. I see this as it's a glowing mushroom. We just want to have a nice soft gradient coming in, so we can paint in a little bit of the outside edge right there, something like that. And now we have this beautiful mushroom that is now glowing. The other thing I did is I removed this stick. You can take this as far as you want, obviously, but that gives you your finished mushroom. I'm just going to flatten that and save that. And there is our finished image. Now we're going to crop this, obviously, and like so, just to get rid of the white space there. There we go. And we've turned on the light in the mushroom. And that is just a really quick and simple way of creating this effect. I hope you guys found this useful. Subscribe, and like I say, if you have any questions about masking in Lightroom or lighters in Photoshop, let me know. Perhaps we can do some other videos going through those procedures as well. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.